Queridos amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa 1470 AM, 96.9 FM. Les habla Lilia Galindo y me acompañan el día de hoy el viceprincipal o el subdirector de la escuela R. Rex Parris, de la escuela preparatoria R. Rex Parris, John Kleespies. También nos acompaña el maestro Chris Ferguson, él es el maestro de educación técnica, de carreras de educación técnica. Les vamos a dar la bienvenida. Welcome, good morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Do you know, tell us a little bit about the demographics in the Rex Parris School, high school, please.
Well, the demographics are exactly the same as for the remainder of the school district. Um, uh, I'd say predominantly Hispanic, but we have a little mix of everybody in there. We draw our student body from Highland High School, a little bit of Quartz Hill High School, Palmdale High, Little Rock High, a little bit from Little Rock, not a lot from Little Rock, and also Knight.
Bueno, le estaba yo preguntando cuál es la demografía más o menos con los componentes de quiénes son los estudiantes en términos raciales de la escuela R. Rex Parris, y nos dice que en general son la mayoría hispanos y que vienen de todas las escuelas preparatorias de alrededor de Highland High School, de Palmdale High School y todas las preparatorias Quartz Hill High School. What is special about this high school?
Well, we're a very small campus. We run two sessions. We have a morning session and afternoon session that has only about 200 kids per session, so it's very small.
Okay, ¿qué la hace diferente a esta escuela de todas las demás? Dice, somos unas escuelas que tienen clases muy pequeñas. Tenemos solamente 2 turnos y cada uno tiene aproximadamente 200 estudiantes. But why this school is so small? Why? What do you offer? Or tell me a little bit more.
Our school is a voluntary school for students to come to us. There's students who have not been successful at the regular campuses, so they've fallen really behind in credits to the point where the regular campus cannot get them caught up in time to graduate. And so they come to us, and we can give them a lot of support and get them to earn credits faster so that they can graduate hopefully on time.
Perfecto. Le digo, ¿por qué esta escuela es diferente a todas las demás escuelas? Dice, bueno, la integramos con alumnos que académicamente están muy rezagados y que van a ser incapaces de completar todos los créditos necesarios para graduarse. Entonces vienen a nosotros y nosotros les damos un apoyo especial. What kind of special support do they receive when they go to your school?
Well, the number one thing is, like I said, it's the size. It's a small size. I can walk out of my office and I can see literally the entire campus from one spot, and so we can work with every student as an individual because there's only 200 kids per at a time. Versus, like I said, if you're at Palmdale High where there's something like 3,000 there at a time. And so we're able to give them that individualized support, and we're also working with them in a way that they can earn their credits twice as fast as they can at the regular campus, which helps them get caught up because they're so far behind.
Bueno, le preguntaba yo entonces qué es especial o cómo es que apoyan especialmente a estos estudiantes. Dice, bueno, en primer lugar, por el número de estudiantes. Dice, como son muy pocos, dice, de hecho, desde mi oficina puedo ver a todo el campo. Entonces, eso nos da la facilidad de que ellos tengan acceso a más apoyo de todos nosotros para que puedan rápidamente ponerse al corriente, al doble de la velocidad en que lo lograrían en una escuela normal. Por eso esta escuela es tan importante. And who decide to go there? The students decide, or are the schools who say, I cannot handle these kids, they need help?
Yeah, nobody is forced to go there. It's voluntary. Now, when they're at the regular campuses, their counselors are always looking at the kids. And when they're failing classes, they're calling them in and they're saying, hey, you need to do summer school, you need to do this sort of credit retrieval. And they're working with the students who typically come to Rex, but it's just not working for them. And so they'll call the parents in and they'll have a discussion with them and say, look, this is an option. It tends to be very successful. do you want to stay here and continue trying to do the sports we have at the regular campus, or do you want to give this other campus a try? And we get those kids who they and their parents decide, yeah, we want to give this a try.
Bueno, entonces lo que es importante, le digo, ¿y quiénes van a ir? ¿Son las escuelas los que mandan a los jóvenes o ellos deciden? Dice, esta escuela es totalmente voluntaria. Dice, lo que sucede es que cuando los consejeros se están dando cuenta que el estudiante está quedándose rezagado, no es capaz de completar los grados, no está pasando, dice, entonces los consejeros hablan con ellos y les hablan de esta escuela a Rex Parris para darles la oportunidad de que se pongan al corriente y afortunadamente pues aquí se vuelven exitosos. Entonces, cuando los consejeros se reúnen con los padres, hacen la sugerencia de esta escuela y es como se enrola uno a esta escuela. Si tienen alguna pregunta, nos pueden llamar al 661-538-1470, 661-538-1470. So, when they go with you, they are for sure they are going to graduate from high school?
Well, no, they have to do their job.
Oh.
We give them the opportunity to succeed. And when I speak with kids who are new to the school, or when I was at the regular campus and I was, giving them the advice, I would tell their parents, look, this has to be kind of a wake-up call for you, and you have to change your ways. The reason you're behind in credits right now is because you weren't doing your work. If you go to Rex Parris and you continue to not doing your work, you're going to get the same result. This needs to be your opportunity to change the way that you've done business, and we're going to meet you halfway by putting you in a position with a lot of teachers who are going to help you change those ways. And also, we're going to present the materials in a little bit of a different fashion. When you're on the regular campus, you may have a concept that needs to be taught, and the teachers will teach that concept and maybe some additional stuff on top of that concept. What we're going to do is we're going to teach you the concept that you need to graduate. And by cutting down that amount, that's how we're able to speed up the overall rate at which they can earn their credits.
Bueno, le estaba yo preguntando, entonces las personas que van, los estudiantes que van rezagados y que van a esa escuela, definitivamente van a ser exitosos. Dice, no, bueno, tienen que hacer su trabajo. Dice, no nada más es cambiarse de escuela. Lo que les decimos, mira, en la manera en la que has estado trabajando no está funcionando, por eso estás tan rezagado. Si te vienes a la escuela de acá, nosotros te vamos a enseñar una técnica diferente para que puedas aprender más rápidamente, pero definitivamente necesitas hacer el trabajo para poder ser exitoso. Dice, así es que les damos, a diferencia de las escuelas regulares, les damos como lo más básico de lo que tienen que aprender para poder graduarse, y en esa manera pueden avanzar rápidamente.
And actually, if I could add also
Sure.
to something that we really strive to do at Rex is make it more of a project-based learning environment. Kind of stepping away from it's all just a bunch of lecture and paper to really make it project-based. And this is actually something that Mr. Ferguson could really speak to. And I think that helps really with all kids to really get them interested in what they're doing and help them understand it better because it's very hands-on.
Bueno, dice, y la diferencia también es que aquí trabajamos, les damos, en lugar de así solamente académicos, los hacemos que trabajen en un proyecto, y en un momentito más, el maestro Ferguson nos va a hablar de exactamente qué tipo de proyectos se les entrega a los estudiantes para que se les haga muchísimo más fácil el proceso de aprendizaje y puedan avanzar más rápidamente. What kind of students go to there? What kind of problems do they have? Are emotional or discipline, or they don't know how to study, and that is most of the time the problem?
Kind of all of the above. It's really, and maybe Chris could be a better one to say this, and I'll let him jump in here, but I think a lot of it is that they have not been engaged in the learning environment, which could be for a variety of reasons. This might be because just they don't work well in the bigger school, that might be a little bit more lecture based, or it might be they've got issues going on at home, and we try to work with them in all aspects. But maybe Chris, you could talk a little more.
If you want to add so.
Yeah, so our students just don't work in a traditional high school for one reason or another, whether it's they don't have the skills like John was mentioning, they haven't been engaged in school since like 4th or 5th grade, or there's other problems at home, or they move a lot. One of the misconceptions of like continuation schools in the past is they're the bad kids. They're not. They just don't work in the traditional setting. Like there's not one type of student that comes to us. Some of them have, you know, social emotional problems. Some of them just made bad decisions in school and in life, and they ended up with us. Other students are just, you know, I hate to use the word, but victims of just circumstance. And, you know, they have parents that either moved or something happened and they fell behind in credit. So we don't have like one type of student. We got, you know, all kinds of students.
Bueno, le preguntaba yo cuál era la situación o cuál eran las características de los jóvenes que ingresaban a la escuela, que si eran personas que tenían problemas emocionales, económicos o simplemente no habían aprendido la técnica de cómo estudiar. Dice, bueno, todas las razones son razones por las que los estudiantes van allá. Son estudiantes que se van quedando rezagados por diferentes circunstancias familiares, económicas, de problemas emocionales, que actuaron mal, y luego el maestro Ferguson nos decía, teníamos la idea que estas escuelas eran para los muchachos malos, ¿no? Dice, pero definitivamente no, son jóvenes que han caído en circunstancias especiales por todos los problemas que hemos mencionado anteriormente, pero que si se les da la oportunidad van a salir adelante brillantemente para poderse poner al corriente. Y les quiero recordar, si alguien tiene alguna pregunta, si están interesados en que sus hijos ingresen a esta escuela, nos pueden llamar al 661-538-1470, 661-538-1470, y les vamos a dar la información para cómo inscribirse en estas escuelas. Vamos a ir we're going to take a break and we will be back.
I have a little bit more to add to that question.
Oh,
too.
okay. We continue then. El abogado Ángelo Campano ya ha sido elegido 3 veces como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antílope, así que si sales lastimado en cualquier tipo de accidente, solo llámale al 661-945-5300 y él ganará tu caso. Y si no gana, no le debes nada. No esperes más, 661-945-5300, 661-945-5300. Ángelo Campano, el abogado en quien la comunidad confía.
Las vemos todos los días, pero la mayoría solo caminamos al lado de ellas, tiradas como basura, mereciendo ser guardadas, pues todas valen algo.
Sí, como a 5 a 10 centavos por envase de bebidas CRB.
Al recogernos, las calles estarán más limpias e incluso seremos dinero para ti. Pero necesitamos tu ayuda. Mira adentro de tu corazón.
Oye, no se trata de corazón, sino de razón.
Llama al 1-800-RECYCLE o visita la página web para obtener información sobre cómo, al reciclar botellas y latas, las cosas mejoran para ti, para nosotros y para Pambea.
El virus del Nilo, transmitido por la picadura de un mosquito, causa enfermedades como la meningitis y puede causar la muerte. Los ancianos y aquellos con diabetes o que padecen del corazón están en riesgo. Protéjase, desagüe las aguas estancadas, mantenga vacías las piscinas y utilice al amanecer y al anochecer repelentes de insectos con DEET. Reporte pájaros muertos al 1-877-968-2473, 877-968-2473. Visite abmosquito.org.
The West Nile virus is transmitted by the bite of a mosquito. Some cases are so severe, they result in neurological disease such as meningitis. To protect you and your family, drain all standing water and maintain or drain swimming pools. Mosquitoes are most active during dawn and dusk. Protect yourself by using insect repellents containing deep picaridin or oil of lemon eucalyptus. Birds can also carry the West Nile virus. If you see a dead bird, call 877-968-2473, 877-968-2473. For more information, visit avmosquito.org.
Okay. Queridos amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa 1470 AM, 96.9 FM y también en YouTube, y más tarde va a estar posteado en Facebook. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Tenemos el día de hoy de invitados al subdirector de la escuela Rex Parris, escuela preparatoria del Antelope Valley Union High School District, John Kleespies, y también a Mr. Chris Ferguson, que él es el maestro de educación para carreras técnicas de la misma escuela. Y vamos a continuar con nuestra conversación. Mr. Kleespies, you were going to add something else. Tell me.
Well, yeah, kind of the question, part of the question that you asked was if there's something that is a little bit different with our students versus others. And I couldn't prove it with any data other than just what I see. And Chris, you can back me up here, but we just had our graduation ceremony. It was a fairly large one. And what I'm seeing is that a large percentage of our students who are successful with us or graduate with us, or they're successful and they return back to the regular campus to graduate there. A lot of them are first-time high school graduates within their entire family, and by no fault of the parents' own. But if you grow up in a home where you haven't had that success in school, a kid may grow up not necessarily learning how to learn, if you will. And so when we identify that, we look at kids, we may, because we're in that smaller environment, we get that more of a personal relationship with them and really look at them. We may be able to look at them and say, hey, like I see the way you're studying for the tests, and it doesn't work that way, but that's the way they grew up being told, oh, do it this way, do it this way. We can help guide them to be more successful because we're able to really look at them individually and help them individually to have skills that they may not otherwise have gotten just simply because of the environment they grew up in.
I wish I had met you before. Okay. Miren, nos está diciendo el señor Kleespies, que él es el subdirector, dice, cómo ha observado, dice, recientemente tuvimos la graduación del grupo de los estudiantes y lo que vemos es que vienen de familias donde ellos son los primeros que se gradúan de high school, ¿no? Familias de bajo ingreso que no han tenido la oportunidad educacional, pues, de avanzar, y por eso es que los jóvenes, pues, no cuentan con el apoyo de sus padres para enseñarles cómo navegar el sistema educativo. Entonces, dice, nosotros les ayudamos con eso, y eso los hace, pues, sentirse muy bien. Dice, ya cuando se gradúan, se regresan a su escuela regular para la graduación, y es una excelente oportunidad para que ellos puedan avanzar. Entonces, do you know, I suppose that now with the COVID situation, the situation was a lot worse for many people, no?
Yeah.
Because first, we are talking about some areas in which they don't have internet access.
Right.
They don't have computers. And do you know, I don't know if you know, but the Hispanic families, we live, many people in the same house, like 3 generations maybe. And so there is no place like in the regular families in which you have your room and you have a computer and you can go to do your homework there. You are doing your homework when somebody's cooking, somebody's singing, it's something really challenging for many of them. But I'm so glad that they have the opportunity to go ahead because, we really want to break the cycle of poverty that for many generations has been with us. And I think education is the key, don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
Can I add some to that? Traditionally, continuation schools were for those kids who fell behind, and they'd hand them packets. And then that's how they'd accelerate in their credit learning. That's one of the things we wanted to do with our student population was get out of that habit of just get this done to get your credits to graduate. We wanted them to leave Parris and even Desert Winds High School with skills that are they can take into the job market or they continue with their education for that very reason, to break that cycle of poverty, because too many graduates tended in the past just to continue the cycle. So what we did with Parris is we entered a construction CTE program. Really, this last year was our first year. We should be in our third, but because of COVID, it kind of put things back. And it being a very hands-on program, we basically started this year. But the kids learn the basics of framing. They go into plumbing. Next year, or the next class is the electrical and plumbing. Third class is finishing work. And then our fourth class is kind of our capstone about going into more of the laws and the codes and building codes and stuff like that.
Okay. Bueno.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was thinking in something else. But estamos hablando de cómo, dice, esto les va a dar la oportunidad solo de obtener su high school, dice, pero muchos estudiantes todavía se quedan ahí. Estamos hablando que la educación es la única manera de romper el ciclo de la pobreza y cómo en las familias hispanas las situaciones son diferentes y cómo el COVID nos había afectado más que nunca y pues sobre todo porque hay algunas áreas que no tienen acceso al internet, no tienen computadoras, no tienen lugares para estudiar como en otras familias porque somos muchos los que vivimos en la misma casa. Entonces las condiciones son totalmente diferentes, pero dice, entonces para ayudar a que estos jóvenes salgan adelante, les decimos cómo cambiar su sistema de estudiar, porque dice, los vemos cómo están estudiando y le decimos, mira, si has estado estudiando así, por eso estás tan rezagado. Nosotros te vamos a decir cómo estudiar para que puedas pasar, pero no solamente eso, además para acabar con el ciclo de la pobreza también, bueno, porque algunos solamente se gradúan de high school y ya no continúan, ahora también se incluyó esto de las carreras técnicas para que ellos puedan tener preparación. Si ya deciden no ir a la universidad o no pueden ir a la universidad por diversas circunstancias, pueden tener un oficio y dice, por eso estamos trabajando ahora en la construcción, les damos los básicos acerca de la construcción y también vamos a meter electricidad y plomería e incluso les vamos a dar clases en building codes, en códigos, cómo se deben de construir los edificios. So after you receive all this preparation, you can even apply for a license, no, with the state of California.
Well, for us, we're hoping to get them in that first stage, so then they can go on to either AVC. We are working with the laborers union down the street and a construction company across the street, so then they can get that real world application or further their education, and then a year or two afterwards, then they'd be able to go on and do their contractor's license and everything else. We're just trying to set a very solid foundation for them so that they're able to do those things after high school.
Le preguntaba yo si este conocimiento les permitiría luego adquirir una licencia del gobierno de California para actuar como contratistas. Dice, bueno, por el momento, aquí a este nivel de preparatoria, lo que queremos es que asegurarnos que terminen su high school y luego además que vayan con los conocimientos básicos para que puedan ingresar al Antelope Valley College o a cualquier otra escuela que les permita entonces avanzar más específicamente si quieren ser contratistas, para que puedan tener su licencia y pasen. I was thinking, why don't you teach them how to build drones better? Because, it's not more like advanced, what do you think about it? Is there any possibility to include the construction of drones? Because I saw people who is doing building those in their garages. Then maybe it's not so difficult like we think.
So we're really just trying to get them like the foundations of it, so they understand, like, have an overall understanding of the whole construction process, from setting foundations to the finishing product, when we, for putting outlets in and stuff. If they don't continue a career in construction, they can do things at home, like be able to change an outlet out or maybe even hang a ceiling fan without, too much problem. So we're trying to make
a handyman, like you can.
But then, as they get older, they can do it themselves. They don't have to rely on somebody else as well, even if they decide to go work in some other part. We also are working with the students to understand there's more to construction than just swinging the hammer. So like the construction company across the street from us has offered to let some of our students work in the actual office and understand what that part of it is, if they're not too keen on the actual physical labor of it. And even the laborers union down the street has offered to let us do some field trips and stuff and see how the construction industry works beyond just that.
Le preguntaba yo, bueno, ¿por qué no les enseñan mejor a construir drones? He oído que algunas personas incluso los construyen en su garage. Dice, bueno, por el momento estamos trabajando con lo más básico de orientarlos a estas carreras de construcción que son tan necesarias, y hemos hecho algunos convenios con uniones, con sindicatos que están ahí y que nos permiten que los estudiantes tengan la oportunidad de ir allá. De ellos, después de que completen su high school y completen estas bases de educación técnica, van a poder escoger lo que ellos quieran para salir adelante, pero solamente son las bases.
Can I also add too, with the construction aspect, don't be misconceived to think that it's nothing but the boys in the class either. I'd say it's probably 50-50 boys and girls. And we were joking about this. He had one group that he splits the kids up into groups to work on structures, and one group just happened to be all girls, and that was the straightest structure out of all of them. So we're getting anybody who wants to do it, they can get involved.
And sorry, go ahead.
No,
Oh no, and what's nice is even if the females decide they don't want to swing the hammer, like I said, they get an idea of how that works. So if they want to work as the office manager or even become a foreman themselves, they have that knowledge to do it.
or maybe they are the managers of the company and they
Mhm.
hire all the other students.
Mhm.
Bueno, pues estamos hablando de nos están diciendo que estas actividades no solamente son para los jóvenes hombres, sino también las mujeres están participando en esto de la construcción. Dice, y bueno, si no les gusta usar el martillo, bueno, por lo menos pueden dedicarse a otras actividades que están derivadas de la construcción, como ser el manager de la oficina o contratar a todos los estudiantes que salieron de allá y poner una compañía. Estas son oportunidades que se le dan a los estudiantes en la escuela Rex Parris, pero la principal es el poder terminar la high school, graduarse de high school. You know, some people is so close to graduation, like 2 classes, 3 classes,
Sure.
and they never finish. How do they feel the rest of their lives? Like,
Well, and honestly, there's no reason they can't finish, because at least with our school, and we've had many students like that where they're a couple of credits shy, and we keep them on. We'll keep them on through summer, or even if we need to bring them through another quarter into the next year, because you're absolutely right. Without that diploma, you're limited in what you can do dramatically. You can't even join the military if you don't have a high school diploma. And so we really push that you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And if they even have a kid who occasionally comes to our campus, and we don't work for them when we talk about other options, adult ed, going to AVC, we're going to be working on a program coming up for getting a high school equivalency. So we're working with the kids again as individuals. That we don't want to have a situation where we're looking at one size fits all when they're on our campus.
Bueno, le preguntaba yo, hay algunos jóvenes que están tan cerca de graduarse, le faltan 2 o 3 materias y renuncian y ya no completan su graduación, ya no reciben su título. Dice, hemos tenido muchos casos, pero nosotros los ayudamos, los empujamos a que incluso si tienen que estar un poco más de tiempo para que terminen eso, porque es tan importante tener ahora un certificado de high school. Si no, no te puedes unir, ni siquiera no te puedes enrolar al servicio militar. Y estamos ofreciendo también, porque a veces no funciona esto para todos, la posibilidad de educación para adultos, la Escuela de Educación para Adultos, ir al Antelope College y también el obtener un equivalente de high school. Todas las posibilidades ofrecen para que puedan avanzar. We're going to take a break and we will be back.
Were you injured in an automobile, motorcycle, bicycle, private property place, or at a work accident? Perhaps a dog bit you. Contact attorney Angelo Campano. He is prepared and ready to defend you. All consultations, meetings,
Do you
and
want to come
appointments
to
are
say
free,
hello
and
in
you
the
pay
camera?
absolutely nothing if your case is
Yeah.
not won.
Say
Call
hello.
at 661-945-5300.
Okay,
661-945-5300.
And say
Angelo
your
Campano,
name.
the
No,
attorney
but say
whom
your
the community
name and
trusts.
what are you doing
El abogado
here
Ángelo
and
Campano
all that
ya ha
kind
sido
of things.
elegido 3 veces como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antílope. Así que si sales lastimado en cualquier tipo de
Very
accidente,
loud.
solo llámale
My
al
name's
619-45-5300 y
The
él
reason
ganará
why
tu caso.
I'm here is
Y si
because
no
my
gana,
dad was
no
gonna
debes
take me
nada.
to a
No
doctor's
esperes más,
appointment.
661-945-5300.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Do you want to come here and say hello to our friends too, please?
I'm saying
Now
hi.
that you are here.
The giant. Oh well.
Hello.
Okay.
Wow. And what is your name?
Logan.
Thank you for coming. It was a pleasure to meet you guys. And I hope that you are interested in radio. And that is going to be your career. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just take me to the bathroom and then I'll meet you outside in like 10 minutes.
Para mayor información, contacte a nuestra página web para obtener información sobre cómo al reciclar botellas y latas, las cosas mejoran para ti, para nosotros y para Pambea.
Hola, hola, amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa 1470M, 96.9 FM y caféconlecheradio.com. Les habla Lilia Galindo y me acompañan personal de la escuela Rex Parris, es la preparatoria Rex Parris para jóvenes que se están quedando atrás, y tenemos al subdirector de la escuela, John Kleespies, y también tenemos al maestro de educación de carreras técnicas, Chris Ferguson. Uh, ellos amigos, bueno, pues han estado ahí en la escuela tratando de ayudar a los jóvenes y tratan de ayudar a los jóvenes. You know, sometimes I realize that we live in an area with a lot of opportunities because we have so many aerospace companies.
Sure.
And I was wondering, could your school prepare students to go? You not only remove them from poverty, but then you send them to that kind of avenues to get jobs, even if it's not like engineers or something like that, but working in those areas. What do you think about?
So within the construction program as well, we offer certifications from Snap-on through the NC3 certifications. And basically they get certified in several measurement instruments, from rulers to micrometers to slide calipers. They receive we also have a torque certification, a digital multimeter certification, and we're working on getting the heating and air conditioning certification, measurement instruments as well. With those are the same measurement instruments and same like multimeters that they use in the aircraft industry. So they have some of the skills that they're looking for if they were to go to, say, Northrop and apply for a job over there.
Very good. Bueno, pues le estaba yo preguntando que aquí en esta área vivimos en un área llena de oportunidades para todos y sabemos aprovecharlas. Y le decía yo, bueno, pues estamos rodeados por compañías aeroespaciales. ¿Habría la posibilidad que estos jóvenes se fueran preparando para que trabajaran en esas compañías, aunque no fuese como ingenieros, si no desean continuar su educación como ingenieros, pero sí como técnicos o como apoyo en las áreas de construcción y todo? Y bueno, me dijo cómo se les está preparando también en una serie de instrumentos de medición que podrían utilizar en algunas compañías aeroespaciales como Northrop para trabajar ahí, aunque sea en un nivel técnico de apoyo, pero obviamente los salarios son mucho mejor pagados que en general. Así es que esta es una excelente oportunidad. Then for somebody who wants to enroll the children there, that they see, I cannot help, and I can see that he's getting behind and behind. The other problem that I want to ask you also, I can see that there are a lot more Hispanics living in these areas. So when you are English learner, you feel a lot more comfortable speaking in your own language. And then you tend to make friends with people who speak your own language. Then you don't practice, and we are getting behind in the English learning. What do we do in those cases?
Well, we have some folks on our campus who work specifically with EL students. But I think I'm going to go way back. I actually opened up the school about 16 years ago, and then I've transferred to other schools. But one of the driving philosophies back in the old days is you had to learn how to read before you could do anything else. And we really pushed learning how to read, because once you're able to read, then you're able to self-educate. And I don't know that that's really changed. So when we see a student who's struggling in English, that means they're going to be struggling in reading English. And we're going to really work with them to help them get that reading up to par. You know, if there's absolutely nothing wrong with speaking two languages at all. I mean, that's what we want, right? However, you need to be proficient in both languages. And so we really try to help to identify those kids who are struggling in the reading area of English and help them to get better at that. because once they can do that, like I said, then you can start self-educating and you become a lifelong learner, and that's the ultimate goal.
And besides that, when you learn how to read perfectly, then it's going to be a lot easier to write, and it's going to
You're
be
going
a
to want
lot.
to do it, right?
Yeah, and and
Yeah.
even to speak, because
Mhm.
then you start to hear whatever you have. Do you know this is my technique now to learn English, to improve my English? Because I hear one guy like 18 years old, 16 years old, who I saw him, he came to the United States when he was 3 years old, and I saw him speaking English perfectly. But when I saw how he spoke, when I saw how he wrote Spanish, it was a professional Spanish, and I was, how did you do that? And he told me that his mother used to make a punishment to copy the newspaper La Opinión. And then he said, I used to hate that, but little by little I start to learn and learn and learn. And then I decided to copy his technique. And I tell everybody, if you want to learn English, just copy anything every single day, half an hour, 1 hour, and then you read it. And then very soon we are going to be.
Yeah, and read it out loud, because when you're reading out loud, even though you're reading to yourself, you're still hearing it, and you bring in all those different modalities, and it exponentially raises your ability to learn.
Yeah. Ahora, ok, amigos, así es que el secreto, dice, le digo, como yo veo que los muchos hispanos, ahora como somos más, pues nos encontramos más amigos hispanos, y en lugar de ponernos a practicar nuestro inglés o hablar con gente que habla inglesa, nos juntamos con los hispanos también, entonces no estamos avanzando en el inglés. ¿Cómo le hacemos? Dice, bueno, dice, yo abrí la escuela, dijo, hace 16 años, y lo que yo siempre he puesto mucho énfasis, y ponemos mucho énfasis, es que los estudiantes sepan cómo leer en inglés, porque si no sabes leer en inglés va a ser dificilísimo que puedas avanzar. Dice, entonces, nuestra técnica es lo primero que ponemos énfasis es en enseñarles a leer, para que puedas aprender lo que estás leyendo, ¿verdad? Si no, no vas a aprender. Si no sabes leer, olvídate. Y entonces le explicaba yo del joven ese que escribía muy bien español e inglés, y era porque había copiado. Dice, y el secreto, además de leer, o sea, si se ponen a leer los jóvenes media hora, 1 hora diaria en inglés, lo tienen que hacer en voz alta, dice, porque de esa manera vas a enseñarte a reconocer además cómo es el sonido de las palabras, y vas a poder comparar con cómo otras personas pronuncian, y va a ser muy benéfico para ti. That sounds really, really good.
Yeah, and what I would add to that too is, if you, and I'm speaking to parents here, and this is really of any age, it doesn't matter if it's high school or elementary, if you want to help your kids really learn how to read and become those lifelong learners, it's wonderful if you can read a book with them and then have a discussion with them after they've read it. And and it doesn't even have to be a book. If your kid's really into sports, then go get yourself a copy of Sports Illustrated and read a sports article. The parent reads the article, the kid reads the article, and then you discuss it. And if you do that component, the kids are going to emulate their parents. And if they see that the parents love to read and love to learn and love to have those discussions, then they're going to love to do that too. And it just makes a world of difference.
Bueno, un consejo para todos los padres, dice, no necesariamente ya de adultos, sino empiecen desde chicos. La cuestión es que hay que leer, dice, hay que leerle a los niños y luego hacer que ellos lean también en voz alta, y luego tener una discusión de lo que se enteraron a través de esa información. Se puede ser libros, pero también si al niño le gustan los deportes, puede ser una publicación acerca de los deportes, pero lo importante es que primero la mamá o el papá lean, luego hagan que el niño lea, y luego tener una discusión sobre lo que entendieron de esa lectura. Eso les va a ayudar muchísimo a que puedan seguir avanzando, y sobre todo a crearles el hábito de la lectura a todos los estudiantes. Entonces, les recomendamos eso porque va a ser una manera muy fácil de no solamente de aprender el idioma, sino de aprender en general. Y lo que nos dice también el maestro es que dice, si ustedes ponen un buen ejemplo para sus hijos, los hijos van a seguir su ejemplo y van a prepararse de la misma manera. Mr. Ferguson, I know that you have to leave. Do you
Yes.
want to add something that you haven't told us yet?
Just want you to know that even though RX Parris sits on the Palmdale side of the tracks, we do have a sister school, Desert Winds, who has a similar CTE program for the automotive industry. So if anybody has students that are falling behind either in Palmdale or Lancaster, the Antelope Valley Union High School District does have a program for you to not only help you earn your credits, but to get those skills you need to maybe get your first job or go on to a trade school or any other avenue in that aspect.
And do you have to wait until they are very, very behind, or you can, as soon as you see that they need a
Well,
special...
the big hard line for us is 16. Ed Code won't let any student under 16 come to our campus, but if a student's 16 and they are deficient in credits and the traditional high school isn't working with them, they can talk to their counselor on the comprehensive site to see what their options are, and perhaps maybe one of our schools will be a good option for them.
And there is a credit line it's going to vary from student to student depending on what grade level they are, where they are in the year. So they just need to talk with their counselor and they'll look that up.
Do you know, I want to let everybody know that there are some charter schools that offer the same, but why do you have to leave if in the Antelope Valley Union High School District you can obtain a lot better service that in any other charter school that they are newest to they appear after Antelope Valley Union High School.
And if you stay within a school within the Antelope Valley School District, we know that diploma is going to be accepted by wherever you're going to go. Whereas you might be going to a particular program, military might be one example, where they may say, oh, you graduated from this off-district charter school. Maybe they may not accept that diploma the way they'll accept ours.
Bueno, estamos hablando, amigos, de cómo nos decía el maestro Ferguson que si dice, esta escuela de Rex Parris es para los que viven en Palmdale, pero también en Lancaster hay una escuela que se llama Desert Winds, que tiene exactamente las mismas características de ayudar a todos los jóvenes que se han quedado rezagados para que puedan incorporarse a esta escuela también. Les ayudan con las mismas tipos de cuestiones, con las mismas talleres en construcción y en otros para que puedan ir avanzando. Y lo que yo les decía es que hay jóvenes que dejan la Antelope Valley Union High School para irse a charter schools que no tienen el mismo reconocimiento que aquí el Antelope Valley Union High School District. Y dice, lo que nos dicen es que efectivamente, dice, no sabemos si se les van a reconocer los estudios, por ejemplo, si se van a enlistar en la militar. Bueno, pues el señor Kleespies nos dice, es posible que es más seguro que les reconozcan el del Antelope Valley Union High School District que de cualquier otra charter school. Así es que no pierdan la oportunidad. We are going to go to the next break and then we will be back.
Thank you very much.
A pleasure to meet you.
We met once before. I was at East.
But do you know how many years ago? Like 10 years ago.
Oh, no. So, and you see a lot of us. So.
But sometimes it's too long. Like they don't come frequently, and then they always came with a different.
And I usually came with like 3 or 4 different people,
and different position in different school and different.
So,
I have good memory, but
we move around way too much for everybody. Well, thank you again.
Bye.
I look forward to the next time.
Bye.
Motorcycle, bicycle, private property place, or at a work accident. Perhaps a dog visit. Contact attorney Angelo Campana. He is prepared and ready to defend you. All consultations, meetings, and appointments are free, and you pay absolutely nothing if your case is not won. Call at 661-945-5300. 661-945-5300. Angelo Campana, the attorney whom the community trusts. The West Nile virus is transmitted by the bite of a mosquito. Some cases are so severe they result in neurological disease such as meningitis. To protect you and your family, drain all standing water and maintain or drain swimming pools. Mosquitoes are most active during dawn and dusk. Protect yourself by using insect repellents containing deep picaridin or oil of lemon eucalyptus. Birds can also carry the West Nile virus. If you see a dead bird, call 877-968-2473. 877-968-2473. For more information, visit avmosquito.org.
El virus del Nilo transmitido por la picadura de un mosquito, causa enfermedades como la meningitis y puede causar la muerte. Los ancianos y aquellos con diabetes o que padecen del corazón están en riesgo. Protéjase, desagüe las aguas estancadas, mantenga vacías las piscinas y utilice al amanecer y al anochecer repelentes de insectos con DEET. Reporte pájaros muertos al 1-877-968-2473, 877-968-2473. Visite abmosquito.org.
Hola, hola, amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos hablando con el subdirector de la escuela Rex Parris, su nombre es John Kleespies, y bueno, el señor Ferguson tuvo que irse por un compromiso, pero vamos a continuar con el subdirector de esta escuela, Rex Parris, que nos está hablando de todo lo que se ofrece. Now, somebody who wants to enroll in this school, or when can they do? It is my understanding that you just finished classes, no?
Well, yeah. So they're going to want to come over at the quarters or semesters. You don't want to come in the middle of the quarter.
Okay.
So we're going to get the majority of them coming to us at the semester breaks. And like Mr. Ferguson also said, they have to be 16 years old. That's actually a state law. So we actually do see quite a bit of students who we would have preferred to have come to us sooner, but they weren't old enough yet. So wait till they're 16, that's for sure. Talk to your counselors. They'll do all the paperwork. They'll have that discussion with you. And then it will most likely come over at the semester. So that would be either Christmas or the beginning of the school year in August. But we do sometimes take them at the quarters as well.
Bueno, entonces les voy a decir, para poder ingresar a estas escuelas, el Código de Educación dice que solamente se puede ingresar cuando tienes más de 16 años. Dice, pero si ustedes están viendo que sus hijos tienen problemas avanzando en su educación, tienen quejas, están recibiendo comentarios de los maestros que no están avanzando, esta es una excelente oportunidad para ayudarles en todos sus problemas. Entonces, si tiene que tener 16 años y dice, normalmente dice, preferimos que vengan cuando empiece el ciclo escolar para que empiecen con todos y no estén rezagados, y esto va a ser más o menos en agosto o en Navidad.
Could I also add too?
Sure.
So kind of along that same route, a lot of the students come to us and some of them will graduate with us, but a lot of times, I would even say probably the majority of the time, when a kid comes to us, really what their goal is not necessarily to graduate from Rex Parris High School. They might be coming from, say, just Highland High School as an example. They'll come to us as a junior, say in the second semester of their junior year. And really what their goal is they want to get caught up in credits so that they can graduate. Remember, they're coming to us because they're too far behind to get caught up on the regular campus, but they still want to have that senior year with their friends. They still want to do prom at the regular school. They want to do all that stuff. So they'll come to us and they'll work really super hard to get caught up in their junior year so that we can return them caught up in credits, or at least caught up enough in credits that they can do some credit retrieval there and graduate on time from Highland or Palmdale or Quartz Hill or wherever it is, so that they can kind of have that senior year high school experience that everybody wants to have.
Bueno, algunos estudiantes también aprovechan esta escuela y se pueden venir, por ejemplo, de la escuela Highland o cualquier otra escuela, y porque quieren apresurar el paso al que están avanzando, dice, pero todavía tienen el deseo de graduarse con sus compañeros de high school. Entonces, una vez que han avanzado en estos créditos para avanzar más rápido en su educación, pueden regresar y graduarse en sus escuelas regulares. Así es que esto es buenísimo y bueno, les da toda la oportunidad. Is there any phone number in which they can call if they need to enroll, or how,
Really,
what is the process?
Really, they need to just go to wherever their actual high school is that they're currently attending and talk to their counselor. Yeah, that's the number one thing they need to do.
El proceso para enrolarse, el proceso regular para enrolarse en esta escuela es simplemente ir a hablar con el consejero de la escuela que está ayudando a su hijo o a su hija, y entonces ellos van a empezar el proceso para que se puedan incorporar a este tipo de escuelas.
And what I'll also say too is unfortunately we see a lot of, because you mentioned the charter schools, unfortunately we see sometimes kids will go to a charter school and they're not successful there, and so they'll fall behind in credits, so they really need to come to us. Really what that student needs to do is figure out what their normal high school is, you know, your Highland or your Palmville or your Little Rock. Go enroll there. Once you're enrolled there, have that discussion with your counselor, and they may either keep them at the regular school and try to do some of those interventions there before they bring them to us, or they may look at the kid, look at the number of credits, look at their age, and then immediately do a transfer to us, but they have to always start with that regular comprehensive site.
Dice, hay algunos jóvenes que han abandonado la escuela para irse a unas escuelas charter, pero tampoco han tenido éxito ahí. Lo que yo les recomiendo, y ya han abandonado entonces la escuela, lo que les recomiendo entonces es nuevamente regresar a la escuela en la que estaban inscritos y inscribirse ahí, de inmediato hablar con el consejero acerca de la posibilidad de emigrar a estas escuelas, a Rex Parris o Desert Winds, para que les puedan ayudar, pero el procedimiento es ese, tienen que ir primero a hablar con sus consejeros. Do you have any kind of classes or staff to support in emotional issues? Because at that age, you are going through so many changes, and sometimes the emotional is the problem.
Well, yeah, we have staff, and actually we're increasing that staff. And I don't know, most people are saying this because of COVID. We're seeing kids that are having more of those emotional issues, but regardless, we've always had one full-time counselor. We're now actually going to be doing to a counselor and a half. So we're increasing that staff on our campus, and we also have a social worker who we've shared them with other campuses, and that social worker is going to be spending more time on our campus than they have in the past. And again, to be honest with you, it's, as a vice principal, I support kids emotionally as well. Our security supports kids. You know, when kids are upset for whatever reason, that's when they act out. And so when they come to me, where, you know, maybe if I was at a different side, it would be, okay, I'm going to suspend you because you did this. It might be more of a discussion of, hey, let's figure out why you're doing this. Let's figure out how to solve that problem. And maybe I'm still going to suspend you, but let's make this as a situation where when we move forward from here, that it's not going to happen again.
Very good. Bueno, le preguntaba si ya que la adolescencia o cuando están los jóvenes en la preparatoria es un tiempo de muchos cambios emocionales también, que si me le preguntaba si tienen apoyo de psicológico los estudiantes. Dice, sí, por supuesto, tenemos un consejero, y dice, y no solamente ese, ahora vamos a ampliar el número a 1.5. Eso es una persona que sabe de psicología para poder atender a los estudiantes, y también tenemos una trabajadora social para trabajar con ellos en los problemas. Dice, cuando un joven actúa de manera así, pues con problemática, en lugar de que si estuviera yo en cualquier otra escuela, seguramente que lo iba a suspender y ya. Pero ahora lo que hago es sentarme con el estudiante para poder analizar la situación que lo condujo a este tipo de actividades o tipo de conductas para poderlas corregir. Y dice, y así, dice, es posible que además todavía lo suspenda, pero ya no va a ser lo mismo. Vamos a prevenir que ese tipo de conductas se repita y vuelva a suceder. Así es que esto es una super ayuda para todo esto. Do you know many of the problems in education that I can see that they criticize, oh, why this school is not performing very well? Mm-hmm. And there are many other factors involved, like socioeconomical factors that impact the levels of education. It's so good that you have a social worker that maybe can help with so many issues, because also I see that we have many resources in the community, and we have many needs, but there is not a connection. It's like
exactly. Nobody's telling anybody about them, right?
Yeah. So with a social worker is an excellent opportunity to help these guys in the basic things that are going to allow them to have a more relaxed kind of life, no?
Yeah, and you know, it's even some things that don't even be to the extreme so much of a social worker. We had one kid on our campus. He was a 5th-year senior, meaning he didn't graduate on time. We kept him on an extra year so he could graduate. And he was always, we stand at the front of the school and we greet every kid as they come in. I do that, or two security do that. And he was always joking with us about, hey, I really like In-N-Out burgers. It's all my favorite thing in the world is In-N-Out burgers, but I can never have an In-N-Out burger because I can't afford it. So we told him, hey, you know what? You graduate and we'll get you a gift certificate to In-N-Out burger. And for months after that, hey, you're going to give me that burger, right? You're going to give me that burger, right? Yeah, sure, no problem. And he ended up graduating. We bought him I think like a $40 gift certificate for an In-N-Out burger. That was the best $40 we ever spent, and that's just because the staff is knowing the kids and knowing what this kid needs to get that encouragement, to get them to where they'll actually get the diploma, makes all the difference in the world. And when you only have 200 kids at a time, you can know every kid's name.
And you can afford $40.
My $5 that was pitched in, yeah,
Yeah,
$10.
that was really nice. Bueno, estamos hablando, amigos, dice, tenemos un estudiante, como le digo que la educación no solamente es la escuela y el estudiante, ¿no? Sino hay un montón de factores que inciden en que el estudiante pueda salir bien. Son factores económicos, sociales, políticos, de salud mental, de alcoholismo, de drogadicción, muchos factores que impactan. Dice, sí, esa es la situación, le digo. Así es que me da mucho gusto que tengan una trabajadora social, porque a veces hay muchos recursos en la comunidad y mucha necesidad, pero no hay la conexión. Entonces el tener una trabajadora social ahí les da la oportunidad. Dice, mire, hubo un estudiante que tuvimos que retenerlo un año más porque no se graduó, pero le encantaban las hamburguesas y decía, me van a dar un certificado para la hamburguesa cuando me gradúe. Dice, y hicimos que se graduara el muchacho y entonces le compramos un certificado por $40 para que pudiera ir a comer hamburguesas. Eso hizo el gran cambio para que él pudiera graduarse. Le encantaban las hamburguesas y por fin se graduó con su certificado de 40. I don't know, he was more proud about the hamburger certificate or
whatever it takes. And actually that kid, when he originally came to the school, he was a quote unquote troublemaker. And with us getting to know him, he ended up being one of the most respectful, thankful kids in the world. And it was a pleasure having him there. And we were so happy to see him graduate.
Era un muchacho que vino a la escuela con la reputación de que era un estudiante muy problemático, pero dice, a la medida que llegamos a conocerlo, resultó ser uno de los jóvenes más amables y más respetuosos que tuvimos como estudiantes, y se graduó y recibió su certificado de hamburguesas. Mr. Kleespies, thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for the work that you are doing, and the community really appreciate your efforts. Hasta la vista.
Bye.
Nos vemos, amigos. Gracias.
Programa pagado, Broadcasting no se hace responsable por las ofertas